All right. Everybody, happy Friday. Welcome to another town hall. Got an exciting one for you today. Today, we're going to be announcing a couple changes, but also kind of deploying some improvements to the town hall structure that we think will be more valuable, more informative to folks. And, hopefully this, kind of accomplishes some goals of, better communication between labs and the rest of the DAO. We increase our transparency. We and also just kind of we make our calls just more efficient in general. So what we're going to talk about today, I posted the agenda in the announcements channel, but really we're going to quickly just kind of walk through what these new town halls will look like. We'll cover some major items that have happened over the last 2 weeks since we didn't have a town hall last week. And then we'll get into a kind of very high level labs recap of things that have happened. So obviously we did have the end of the quarter where a lot of things were shared there, but work never stops. And so we'll be kind of recapping some labs work as it happens. And then, we'll end the call with how town halls typically have gone with a review of outstanding governance proposals as we look to kind of achieve crowd consensus on things that have been discussed throughout the week. So with that being said, let's dive right in. So first thing to cover is what's going to happen during this kind of new town hall structure. So as we go through either our major updates or the labs recaps, if folks have questions, I encourage you to raise your hand, ask your question. I'm not always going to have the answers or the best answers immediately. And so for things that really can't be answered kind of in the timeliness of this call to make sure things move efficiently, I'll probably ask to post in the questions forum that's in the Citadel section here. So I can go ahead and tag that in voice chat right now. Let me just here. And so post your questions here. If I could spell. And make sure to include kind of what either kind of a specific labs vertical or just include your topic in posting that question as well. So with that, I'm going to start diving into our recaps and updates. Have folks feel free to go ahead and raise their hand if they've got some questions. If not, we'll just kind of continue through our updates and try and get through as much as possible until we get to the last part, which is the governance section. So, the major thing to cover from the last 2 weeks for folks that missed last week was the end of the quarter events. So we actually ended up having 5 end of the quarter events. 2 of them looking back on Q2, which were broken into an engineering and an operations recap. And then we had 3 separate events, one on kind of governance and organizational design. We had one on strategy, and both of those recaps are posted on our blogs as well. And then we gave a really special kind of DAO preview to kind of upcoming Rook narratives. So that one we're going to hold a little bit closer to our chest for a little bit until it's been polished up and put in front of kind of the audiences we're looking for. So if you did get to catch that last week, good for you. But we'll be saving that one for a little bit. So kind of exciting times ahead for that. And that was really kind of the majority of the major kind of items that happened over the last 2 weeks. We had a couple governance proposals that went through and passed, mostly unanimously. But why don't we just quickly go on ahead and dive right into the labs recap, and we'll start with Treasury. And you know what? Matt, I heard, wants to come up and present, to you guys directly. So Matt, why don't you come quickly give a 2-week recap of what happened in the Treasury squad?
Yeah, absolutely. And happy Friday, everybody. I'll go through this pretty quick because I know we've covered this during the end of quarter and Treasure Tuesdays and multiple other venues. But just kind of flying through what I know has been accomplished, these past 2 weeks that are kind of the main highlights. But we had our 8th deployment strategy that was unanimously approved. Our Maple withdrawal kit has been approved, and just a little more clarity there. We are in our 10-day cooldown right now, and early next week is our window where we can actually initiate the true withdrawal pending that there are sufficient funds to withdraw from. So we are doing our best to try to analyze the situation there and make sure that we can do that and maximize our chance of success. But there it is, to some degree due to external forces that are kind of outside of our control. But we'll keep you guys posted on how that shakes out. Compensation 2.5 that has officially been deployed, and again, that's just a 2-month measure while we work out compensation 3.0. The public discourse has really kind of begun on the Treasury Charter. I don't think there's been any really major pushback that I've seen, no major comments. So I'm just going to assume that most people kind of like that until I hear otherwise. But really, this is just kind of outlining our vision and our culture for how we see our Treasury. Moving on down the line, so stablecoin deployment, this is still underway. Still, I'd say it's moving kind of slower than I'd like, and it's probably more on my plate just because I think there's been a lot of other things from a risk mitigation standpoint that have been distracting, as well as some other just conversations that we've had during Treasury Tuesday that have slowed down our working sessions there. But know that is well underway, and we will be looking at a lot of different options for where we kind of park our stablecoin to maximize yield as well as just other opportunities on that front. One thing I wanted to kind of give a shout out to Dietz and other people that are kind of plugged into this process, but I think these recaps of Treasury Tuesday and other things that we've been doing a little bit more in real time have been really valuable. I think it's going to help us with not only transparency, but also we can take extracts from those summaries and narratives and use those for marketing purposes. So I'm really happy with how those have shaken out, and those are only going to get better over time. And I don't know if somebody else will be talking more about those recaps more generally. Other thing. Go ahead, Kyle.
I will be in another section, but why don't you just quickly talk about what's looking ahead for Treasury?
Yeah, absolutely. And so those were the kind of the main highlights. There's some other things that are done that are more externally facing, but again, those are the major items. And there's a lot of other things that go on internally within labs that I kind of deal with that maybe have occurred. Nothing material, but just things that are ongoing maintenance more than anything. Some other things that we have looking ahead, the Q3 labs budget, that is definitely in its later stages of a formulation for how we want to structure that to some degree. However, I think what Hazard and I have been discussing, and we will be kind of talking more with the rest of labs, is just trying to really tie our initiatives and our strategy to our finances and to our financial situation, and therefore our budget. And so that may be slower than it otherwise would have been. But I think in the end, we'll have a better product. We'll have a more strategic plan, again, that's tied to our finances. And it's just going to, I think, create a better situation and more transparency for everybody. And honestly, create more clear expectations for really every person in the DAO. Some other things that we will be doing is the Bancor withdrawal proposal. I know Starfire has been diligently working on that. I just reviewed that again today. We also have a non-core asset proposal that he has been pushing forward, and I reviewed that as well. So those should be able to be posted on the forum, I'd say, maybe in the next week or two, I'd imagine, maybe if not sooner. And then I just posted another proposal today that is around establishing basically a testing wallet. And it's basically requesting that we receive, when I say we, another wallet receive 600K of stable coins so that we can really take matters into our own hands and really understand the power of what the Rook protocol is by testing all the ins and outs of it, testing it for efficiency and effectiveness, and really just, again, trying to develop new strategies and things that can really push forward our protocol from a technical perspective, but also from a marketing perspective as well. And so I'm really excited about this. Honestly, the goal of this is not to get more money or anything like that. It's really to capture data, and I always like to call it like digital gold. Like, right? I think people say Bitcoin is digital gold, but really data is really what a lot of people are striving to get. And what we would like to do is have a little bit of funding to enable us internally to do that, rather than be reliant on external forces developing new strategies and kind of driving forward the day that we really want to be driving forward and kind of seeing ourselves. So again, I really look forward. I encourage you guys all to kind of go out there to the forum and check that out. Make your comments known, whether that's concerns, questions. We are here to answer anything. And we're, again, really excited to see where this one goes. And I guess the final update I have, and this is kind of things planned, but really more historical. Maybe I should have mentioned, but We also posted on the Optimism forum for officially posted on their forum to apply for their phase one funding, another initiative that Starfire has been pushing along. And so, really encourage everybody to go out there and make your comments known, share it on your socials, and really just kind of put a magnifying glass on this because in the end, we want to align ourselves with that protocol, I think. And again, we can also receive basically free money to some degree to incentivize further use of our protocol as well as just spur activity on that layer, which I think really benefits everybody. So that's, I think, everything I had for Treasury. And maybe Deets, tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm happy to answer any questions if anybody has anything.
Yeah. We're going to pause between each quick little update, and not every person that kind of runs that vertical will be speaking. I'll mostly be speaking for most of them. But yeah, what if anyone's got any treasury questions? We can quickly kind of address them now. If not, we'll move on to the next section. All right, giving it a 3 count here. All right. Well, thanks, Matt. Appreciate you popping up and leading this section.
Yep. Thanks, Kyle, and enjoy your weekend, everybody.
Thanks.
Hey, Deets,
Starfire, what's up? Yep.
there was a question in the voice chat for Matt.
Oh my goodness, I'm blind here. Question: testing wallet for dog fooding the Rook product itself? Oh, I think I misunderstood what you were saying there. The testing wallet, what we're going to be looking at doing. Matt, you want to go ahead and share? I don't need to talk for you here.
Yeah, I'm gonna play dumb. I really don't know what dog fooding means in this context, but really what this is to enable internal parties that are close to the protocol. And when I say internal, that's really Pasho and Zubair. They work closely with really everything protocol as well as Ninja. And again, we have seen about I think over $300 million in volume run through the protocol in a relatively short period of time. However, that has been driven that data which we really kind of crave to develop a protocol and improve it has really been driven by external parties. And so maybe they are just doing things whatever benefits them, but really what I like to do is have some funding in a testing wallet that's transparent, is controlled by the parties that are working closely with the protocol for them to develop some strategies around those funds. And one thing to clarify here is that there are no directional assets that we are funding. Everything is in the form of a stable coin. So really, we're not trying to take on additional, like, we're not trying to become like expert traders or trying to time the market or anything like that. It's really just trading stable coins to test our internal structure. And when I say structure, I mean, we've tested it before from like a security and soundness perspective. But knowing what kind of strategies we can develop, knowing where things can improve from an efficiency standpoint, I think there's probably room for improvement, and there probably always will be. But having this separate wallet should be able and enable us to be able to do that more effectively. And I hope that answered your question again. I'm not sure what dog fooding means.
Using your own product. Awesome. Tradium. I love that. I'm learning from you every day. Wes asks a quick question. Why aren't other fiats included like euros? I think that's an interesting question. My perspective is that other stable coins outside of dollar pegged ones have kind of crap liquidity. But I don't know the answer to that question. Matt, you have some insight there?
Exchange rate fluctuation.
Oh, there we go.
Appreciate that amongst other things, and I don't know if it's been as battle tested and hardened as some of the 4 that we're requesting. Again, we're not trying to dabble into like these fully algo stable coins or under collateralized things. These are kind of like the true battle tested ones that I think everybody kind of knows and uses for the most part. So again, we're trying to reduce risk as much as possible here while maximizing the amount of data that we can gather in that manner.
Awesome. Well, thanks, guys. Appreciate your 2 questions there. All right, we'll move on. We'll quickly recap what's happening in governance. So governance has also had a couple public calls in the last couple weeks. What we've mostly been focusing on is the KIP extension of KIP 21. So I guess KIP 26 now, I believe. We've also talked about several other kind of treasury KIPs as well. And then kind of inside and outside of the governance workshop, we've seen folks working on the revamped SOFON process, as well as working with SOFON onboarding as well with Guard. We've been interviewing some potential partners and vendors looking at governance analytics and tracking as well. And then we're looking at some better Discord automation. So looking at things that come from Discourse, so our forum, and have that automatically relayed to the our public Discord as well. Great. Anybody got any questions about governance things in the works? You know that we've had those calls. Also, quickly post our governance recap call links. Let's call them. I'm going to post this in the chat as well. Workshop recaps. And there's our two workshop posts in the voice chat as well. So if folks want to quickly catch up on what's been discussed in those governance workshops, those links are in voice chat. Awesome. All right. So we're going to get through the rest of labs that doesn't typically have public calls. So with this, I'm going to typically be talking on a pretty high level. And a lot of the things, sometimes I'm either very specifically not going to be able to answer a question, maybe based off of information not being at its final stage, or maybe sensitivity of partnerships or development processes, or things that might affect competitive advantages. I'm still going to be trying to give as much information as possible, but just keep in mind things will be pretty high level, and we can drive questions to the question section as well for them to be revisited after the call. All right, so hopping in first, we're going to look at organization. So with the organization team, just kind of looking at what's been done and what's going to continue to happen over the next couple weeks. Looking at compensation 3.0, progress is being made. There's going to be a point where it'll be discussed a little bit internally, and then once it reaches a better point that has sound kind of things and consensus around labs, we'll be discussing it across the DAO publicly. And so all of that discussion will happen before any kind of action is taken or anything like that. And so expect more information on that in the coming weeks. We'll also be continuing working on our regulatory strategy and legal frameworks as well. And then looking at getting out an enhanced grants program as well. So that's organization and people ops. Coming from the studio side, so the content team, one of the biggest things that we did last week, and something I'm super excited about, is the partnership with the Star-based crew that have done an absolutely awesome job coming in, recording our calls, providing some recaps. It's a really cool community-based org that we're going to continue to look for, look to collaborate with over the longer term. And they're the ones that put out some great content around not just the governance workshops and Treasury Tuesdays, but of our end of quarter events as well. So another big shout out to the Star-based folks. The studio team also kind of worked on the Rook Narratives decentralized payment for order flow presentation that happened at the Rook Narratives call last week, which very exciting. It's still being tuned a little bit, but we're looking to see that kind of hit public in the next couple of weeks as well. Also looking at some podcast opportunities coming up while continuing to pitch ourselves to other kind of bigger names as well. I believe we might even have one early next week as well. So excited for that. Some of the new content that Studio has coming out, you might have already seen in one of our tweets today, which was the audiograms, where we'll be going through different recorded bits of content that we had, whether that's appearances on AMAs or podcasts, or here on town halls, community calls, governance workshops. We'll be grabbing snippets that either educate folks about our protocol, that talk about very specific points, let's call it MEV, or the crypto space in general, or just key things that we feel like are important to share with everybody. So those audiograms are really cool. Hopefully you checked out the one today, tweeted out. But yeah, I'm excited to see more of that content moving forward as well. And then just kind of looking ahead, Studio's planning additional enhancements to the website, more content, additional pages, And then building out even more content that's not just living on the website. As much of it that can be kind of data driven is what we're going to be building towards as well. But in collaboration with the Starbase team and our kind of growing collaboration of different community members, we'll look to be getting out as much data and content as we can, building out our solidified narratives as well. So really excited to see more stuff coming out of the studio team. All right, let me take a quick breath here. So we got any questions about studio or organization? All right, cool. Moving on, we're going to hop into operations and growth. So, over the last week, hopefully a bunch of you saw the end of quarter events. That was really fun for me to get to put on. And, I think that there'll be improvements made as we look ahead to next quarter and a lot of lessons learned from that. In terms of kind of some biz dev stuff, we have a DAO that's already looking at integrating limit orders into their app. We should hopefully have an agreement soon on that and be able to announce which one that is. On kind of the integration fronts as well, we've got an infrastructure provider that has tentatively agreed to be a transaction relay texter. So I'm really excited to see that. And once that is ready to become officially announced as well, we will share who that is with y'all. And then we also met with another infrastructure team about the TX relay, and they gave us some very positive feedback. So kind of, exciting and more stuff happening on the business development side. And then kind of looking ahead, just like with this event, we're going to look forward to revamping the rest of our community events. But also kind of continue to improve a lot of aspects of the community, and the first thing that we want to kind of push forward is a new kind of onboarding for the Discord and a Discord roles program. So I'm excited to, see that work happen in the next 2 weeks as well. But that's operations and growth. I'll pause. Any questions there? Cool. All right. Now we'll just quickly hop into the engineering side. So from the protocol team, lots of pull requests done and have been ready for review. The proactivity and productivity from the protocol team has been really awesome lately. We've been seeing things like Ninja bot and coordinator upgrades, progress made on the transaction relay, even some progress on some curve pools as well. So really exciting to see that from the protocol team. From the product side, worked on some upgraded security for our API. We're improving our React-based tech as well. And then looking into a third-party provider called Datadog for logging and looking at Frill for user feedback. And so kind of excited to see those things happening. Looking ahead, we will have some UX testing going on from the product team. We'll be building out some enhanced kind of logs and security, and then just kind of getting through the backlog of some of the tasks that they have in Linear as well. So, exciting stuff on the engineering front. I'll pause there. Is there any kind of outstanding questions from all of the labs update? Let me check the voice chat here. And you're welcome to raise your hand, come up on stage and ask questions as well. All right. Well, great. I think this now, we can hand this off to kind of the regular part of Town Hall. We'll talk through outstanding governance proposals. So I'd love to call Jason up here and we can talk about, hopefully, for the last time before maybe we see a SOFON recommendation on this, KIP 21 extension. So Jason, you want to quickly kind of talk about where we last were with KIP 21 extension and kind of open it up for comments for the DAO.
Yeah, sure. So just to quickly review, if you haven't seen the KIP for a little bit, it's proposing to extend the leadership team's ability to do the things we empowered them to do over the prior 2 quarters for another 2 quarters. And then it also proposed some additional reporting and transparency measures to go along with that. And so we had a pretty lengthy and in-depth discussion of it on Wednesday in governance workshop, and would love to get any follow-on comments or really more of a community read as we head into the next stage with a proposal.
Jason, I think my audio just cut out. Did I miss something there?
No, I wasn't sure whether you're going to step back in or not. I was also looking at the voice chat to see if there were any questions, and it seems like people
sure.
are pretty.
Yeah, it looks like they're talking a little bit about treasury strategy there.
Yeah.
So does anyone have any last thoughts about KIP 21 extension? I know we talked about it extensively on Wednesday. Where it last was left. If you read through any of the governance recap from a few days ago, it was to me apparent that there are risks associated with kind of trying to add too much to this in terms of kind of undefined parameters, say around salaries and budgets and things. And what was kind of noted was that while this KIP could pass in its current way, there's nothing stopping a superseding KIP from being written. So let's say that somebody really wants to put together the data on specific aspects of CTO power or something like that. That can be written up and proposed to the DAO and go through the same process. But looking at what has happened with the expiration of KIP 21 and the powers that were granted with that, no longer being granted. For me, that does seem to put the DAO in an interesting situation where the risks of slower development or things relating to personnel and hiring and onboarding and other kind of long-term concerns start to become at risk the longer that there isn't something that's kind of formalized and put in place, which is why I would personally like to advocate for the extension of KIP 21, which I believe is now KIP 26. That even includes added language about transparency and communication as well. Jason, was there anything else from the conversation on Wednesday that we wanted to highlight?
I think one of the things that came up in the conversation that was really helpful was thinking about this in the context of where we're going as an organization and where we're going as a DAO and where we're going as a group, and the fact that that's something that we've made a lot of progress on, but we need some more runway to solidify all the changes that have happened and all the progress that we've made.
All right. Does anybody have any thoughts on the extension? I mean, even voicing support for it. Happy to have anybody share their thoughts here. Well, it sounds like this has been pretty thoroughly discussed, and
yeah,
I would say we seem to have kind of arrived at a somewhat crowd consensus here that this seems like it's a proposal that's ready to enter the SOFUN domain.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Great.
All right. Well, Jason, do you want to just quickly point towards any other things that have hit the forum? Maybe they're not fully ready to be discussed, but why don't you go ahead and point us at some of the other kind of outstanding either drafts or new drafts that have come through?
Sure. Yeah. Well, so Matt already spoke about the new draft for the new testing wallet. So that is newly on the forum, I think, from half an hour ago. So please go check that one out. And then we also have still the proposal about the front end of the KIP process in terms of setting up categories and setting up templates. And as we discussed on Wednesday, that's going to stay up until we get sort of all of governance V2 nailed down, because it may be subject to change depending on what we decide about the other pieces, but we really do need feedback on those as well. So all of those are still live on the forum. I have a little work to do on the forum over the weekend. If you go look at it, it's we have a lot of we had talked earlier about establishing a new category for KIPs that are inactive. So I went through and applied that to a bunch of different KIPs, and unfortunately that counted as the most recent activity. So we have to work on that. But if you scroll through, if you click on the KIPS category, you can see the new ones very clearly there.
Yeah, and it just, just as I encourage everyone to kind of participate and voice their opinions, going into the drafts category and commenting on any of the drafts ones, whether it's the templates, the testing wallet, or even the KIP 21 extension. I think that, obviously that'll move it back up to the top of the queue as well. But, the more opinions that we can have on this, whether even if it's just confirmation that it's the right direction we think that the DAO should be headed, that all that engagement is super beneficial for this.
Yeah. And also, just to circle back to something that Dietz mentioned earlier, we are looking, specifically Wes is looking at plugins that can also let us channel Discord comments into Discourse itself. So hopefully, if we do that, someone had a great suggestion in the governance channel about, or no, it wasn't in the governance, it was in another channel, about setting up sort of time limited Discord threads for individual KIPs. And the only reason we're not doing that now is because we want to make sure that all the comments get ported over to the forum so there's a public record, which is what it's meant to serve as. So once we're able to do that, hopefully we can set up forums in Discord as well, in case that's an easier place for people to comment, or a more convenient place.
Great.
But yeah.
All right. Well, that will kind of conclude our open governance section. So happy to open this up to any kind of open forum topics that folks want to bring up, have the DAO discuss. So if there's anything that you haven't gotten a chance to discuss or anything, go ahead, raise your hand, and we can talk about it as a DAO together. All right. Well, it looks like we don't have too many topics, so I can just kind of get to the housekeeping, and then we can give some folks some time back here on a solid Friday. So little bits of housekeeping. As we said, please go through the governance forum, comment on any of the other ones, even just liking the ones that you feel like have made solid arguments or that you agree with. We're excited to see some of those move forward. This new format is something that I want to target in terms of the longer form recapping and the labs recaps. This is something I want to start doing on a bi-weekly basis. So, in terms of town halls, we'll host town halls now on a bi-weekly basis. But if there is, let's call it pressing governance proposals that need to be addressed sooner than on that bi-weekly basis, we can go on ahead and have a special governance call on a Friday that's on those in between weeks. But what we're going to be doing is really trying to focus in on having as much of that discourse happen during governance workshops on Wednesdays. But not all proposals can get finish their discussion or get squeezed in within the governance workshop. And so if there is a need to kind of keep proposals, conversations moving forward, we can have individual calls towards that as well. But, my goal with these town halls is for this to be a great way for folks to come in, get caught up on what's happened in the DAO over the last 2 weeks, and kind of have a fun look ahead of what's going to happen from the labs team. And then, and then we'll use it to continue to find, crowd consensus on our governance proposals as well. But outside of those two things, I think that kind of can conclude our town hall today. We'll have a recap posted and shared with everybody, later, either later today or early this weekend. But if not, I just want to say thanks to Matt, thanks to Jason, thanks for everyone that asked questions, either on voice or in the voice chat channel. And if folks do have questions about this when going back through it, I encourage everybody to use the questions channel here in Discord, and we can create a little longer form discussion on any of the questions that they might have. But with that, I'm going to go on ahead and say happy Friday, happy weekend. Let's go on ahead and send off for the rest of the evening. So thanks everybody for attending, and we'll see you again next week.